Okay, so here we are. You're going to start out with all three primary colors. So little small pools of yellow, red, and blue. So when you go to get your paint, you really don't want to do a full pump. You just want to do half of a pump. So it's not a ton of paint that you're pulling out. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be mixing the primaries into what's called a secondary. Secondaries are when you mix two primaries together to make a completely different color. Okay, so we're going to start off with mixing green first. Now, in order to mix green, you need two primaries together, and those two primaries are, that's right, yellow and blue. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of yellow. I'm kind of ladling it off to one side out of the main yellow pile, and I'm taking a little bit of blue on my brush, and I'm kind of swirling it, but not pressing too hard when I do that, because you don't want to overflex your brush hairs. Your brush hairs are kind of sensitive. You want to not press too hard when you're mixing with the brush. And ideally, when you put your brush in the paint, you don't want the paint to go all the way up to the metal part. And when you're mixing secondaries, you do have to adjust the value. Like sometimes blue can be a little bit too strong, or sometimes you get too much blue. So it's a certain ratio that you want to look for. You don't want it to be yellow-green, nor do you want it to go to blue-green. Okay, so now we're going to work with orange. So orange is a combination of yellow and red primary together. The thing about orange is red will take over the orange if you add red to yellow. You just need a little bit of red to create a good orange. And I want to actually encourage you to make a little bit more orange than I've made on mine, because I had to go back and mix a little bit more later. Since we're using it in more than one spot, we'll be using it for the mutes as well as for the complementary pairs. And the last one is red and blue combined, and that'll make a purple. And you want to think about a medium purple, not too intense, but you also don't want to get it to look like the color of cranberries. You want it a little bit richer, darker than that, maybe somewhere in the range of eggplant kind of color. This red-blue combination looks really good together. I like that purple that it makes. The yellow and blue together when we made the green, that's not quite as attractive as it could be, but it is a useful green. You can use it somewhere. All right, so those are the primary colors. Now we're going to be getting into mutes. So a mute is when you take the two complements, like red and green, and you start to incrementally add the complement to each other. So with red and green, I'm mixing a little bit of green in with the red, and that'll be my square one below the red. And then I'm going to gradually increase the amount of green I'm picking up on my brush and mixing in there. And what red and green will do is when you mix them together, they'll eventually kind of cancel each other out and create this kind of brown neutral color. And some people think these are ugly colors. I actually think they're useful, and they're not ugly. They're just different. So try them, and they do look different. Like the yellow purple combination, that kind of brown looks different than the orange and the blue combination. And you do have to do all three of those complementary pairs, create mutes out of them, and it should be a mute by degrees.